Do you think that you can live your passion and do what you truly love and still serve your country? Well, I've got somebody here who does this each and every day for the United States Navy. Captain Alota, how are you doing today, sir?
I am awesome. Great being with you again, Teresa. Such an honor and privilege to be with you.
I know this is our second show together. We were talking about it before the call. We did a show when I was stationed back in Norfolk, and I want to say it was like your last week of command on the John P. Murtha. Is that correct?
That is correct. And the more I think about that last week, I'm thinking about how hectic it was because we just finished in serve. I was doing, the closing evals and fit reps, and then we started to get prepared for our change of command. So I'm just thinking about how crazy that time was, and we just still found time to do it. And I just remember I was doing it on the bridge,
On the
on this
bridge. Yes.
phone, and there was people walking in and out of the bridge. I think I lost connection several times, but again, it was the first podcast I've ever done. It was
Oh, I
like
didn't
the
know
first.
that.
Oh yeah, it was just wild because I was just really in and out of port. We did three
Mhm.
out of area deployments. We did all kinds of crazy things. We finished off with InServe. Really proud of what the kids were doing. And then like some lady calls me and says, "Hey, do you want to get on a podcast?" I'm like, I don't know what that is. I don't know what that means, but sure, I'll do it because I want to tell the story of my people. And we made it happen. It was the best time. And then, 2 years
Yeah,
later, two commands later, we're back together.
I
It's
know.
amazing.
I know because we both have had one command in the meantime, which we'll talk about, and then now
Hmm.
we're well, I'm at my final command, and you are still telling the Navy story, even in a really unique
Yeah.
way. So, as I said, this is our second show together. I'm talking today with Captain Gervy Alota. Welcome to the Stories of Service podcast, ordinary people who do extraordinary work. I am the host of Stories of Service, Teresa Carpenter, and here to kick off the show, as we always do now, is a intro from my father, Charlie Pickard.
From the moment we're born and lock eyes with our parents, we are inspiring others. By showing up as a vessel of service, we not only help others, we help ourselves. Welcome to S.O.S, Stories of Service, hosted by Teresa Carpenter, here from ordinary people from all walks of life who have transformed their communities by performing extraordinary work.
And if you do not know Captain Alota, he is a decorated surface warfare officer and a proud son of a Navy chief, a San Diego native and U.S. Naval Academy graduate. He brings over 2 decades of leadership, dedication, and operational excellence to the table, from commanding warships to sea to shaping future strategies ashore. Today, he's going to share his journey from playing Navy football to commanding multiple amphibious ships, pioneering the first LCS MCM mission package detachment, and serving in strategic roles across the Navy, including his current position as Director of Community Outreach at Navy Recruiting Command. And today we're going to dive into the lessons you've learned throughout your command, the influence of family and mentorship, and how he stays mission focused while inspiring the next generation of Navy leaders. Welcome again, sir.
Yeah. Hey, so if I could just add a few more things to my bio, things that I'm much
Okay.
more proud of.
Okay.
The fact that I am the father of a surface warfare officer. She just qualified about a month ago. She's forward
Woohoo!
deployed in Japan. So I'm very proud about that. And I also have a son who's at the Merchant Marine Academy who wants to sail. Don't know if he wants to do it through the Navy yet, but super proud of him. And then again, I am married to the most beautiful woman in this planet, on this planet. And we've been married almost 27 years now, who was a former
Wow.
SWO as well. So I got that, that nautical blood in my system, and I'm kind of still carrying that legacy through my kids. So I am truly blessed. And I hope one day when we talk about, legacy, that we talk about how Gervy was forged by the sea and he was able to, bring along his kids and his wife along for the journey.
I love it. I absolutely love it. In fact, Damon Moritz, I think he's in public affairs and he's in our community. He just says, I just want to tell the stories of my people. I love that Navy needs more leaders who do that. And that's what you've all been about this entire time. Like you have, I don't know, I think it's like 250,000 followers on Instagram or something crazy. And every one of your stories is the story of a sailor. It is a story of somebody who's doing something outstanding for the military. And I really encourage you guys, go to the show notes in here and take a look at what he's doing, because I really do believe that not everyone has all those camera skills. I'll say, but
Well, I'll tell you one thing about this whole influencer gig, and I think we talked about it on our last podcast. And the fact that you called me an influencer, that was the first time anyone ever did. I didn't know what that meant. But then the more I thought about my role as an influencer, it's the goal for me of influencing is not to have more people think highly of me, but to have people think more highly of themselves. And that's what my whole platform has been since I left the John. Actually, when I was even on the John P. Murtha, it was to highlight the stories, the accomplishments, all the wonderful and amazing things that the sailors were doing on the ship. Now that I'm kind of doing, the Navy, writ large with all the Fleet Weeks and Navy Weeks, I want to really just celebrate all the goodness that our people are doing all over the country, all over the world. And I think I've, not been able to capture all of it because I'm only a one-person show, but I think I'm doing an okay job of doing it, but there's still more that I want to do.
Yeah, no, I wish that we could clone you and have 15 or 20 people going around the Navy and telling stories like this, because I think that the short form content really grabs attention, and it gives you a way to just condense a more difficult or nuanced or layered story into just sort of a sound bite that people can just sort of grasp onto, and then they want to know more. They want further information. And so you're able to do that. And that's a real skill. Not many communicators do that well.
Yeah.
And so it's definitely something that takes practice.
If you think about, the target audience for the folks that we are looking to recruit into our Navy, they spend 7 to 15 seconds on a clip at a time. It's just continuous swiping. And if you don't grab their attention right away, they're just going to continue to swipe. But if it's something that's, really epic with the music and it matches the cinematography and they spend 3 seconds on it, you got them captured, right? And then maybe they think a little bit differently about joining the Navy, or maybe they, had no clue what the Navy was about. But this one little clip got their juices flowing, got them pumped and excited to maybe just read more about it, or just dig a little bit deeper. So that's what I'm trying to do with my stuff.
I love it. I love it. So let's get people acquainted who may not have caught the first show. So your father and your family growing up, they were the ones who inspired you to join the military and go down this path?
A little bit. I mean, my dad was a Navy chief. He immigrated from the Philippines and became a steward. And if you don't know, for Filipinos, that's the only job they can do. And stewards were the ones that prepared the food, prepared the uniforms for officers. And they didn't really have a choice, but it was an opportunity of a lifetime. My dad had his college degree. He was very smart, but he was working in a province as a farmer. And he knew that the only way to make it where he can, take care of his family and, provide sustenance and, roof over his family's head was to join the U.S. Navy. So although he was doing, just domestic work, he loved it. And he was so proud to be a part of the United States Navy that he kind of us that, hey, it doesn't matter what you're doing. You're an American. You have an education. You just have to roll up your sleeves, make sacrifices, do the little things, not make excuses, and you're going to be successful. So my dad taught me that at an early age. He ended up making chief. And to this day, I feel like I'm forged by the mess because of all the things that my dad has taught me. I tell everyone that I was born with a silver spoon in my mouth, not because of the possessions that I had, but because of the real life experiences that my dad shared with me, that it's about rolling up your sleeves and getting dirty, doing the work. And then you're going to have everything that you ever need in life because you were born into in this great country. So he kind of, set the bar for me high when it comes to the Navy. But I really joined the Navy because I was given a skill set that not a lot of people have, and that was to play the great game of football. So I got the opportunity to go to the Naval Academy on a football scholarship. Although, I grew up with my dad always deploying, and the only times I remember, being happy about my dad being in the Navy is when he came back from deployment with all these cool toys, from Asia. And I'm just like, oh, I got Transformers, I got, all these cool action figures. It's gonna be okay because my dad's coming back with all these treasures. But I do remember him always being gone. That's not something that I've wanted with my family. I wanted to always be present there for my kids. But because I was able to play this great game of football, I joined the Navy, and then
when I joined the Navy, actually wearing the uniform, that's when my dad and I really started to bond, and we started to ask a lot of questions. I asked a lot of questions of him and his service because I truly understood what he went through to give us the life that we had growing up.
That's so beautiful. I mean, there's just so much that a father can impart onto his son without doing it firsthand. But then, oh yeah, your headphones kind of took out, so you might.
I think they died. Yeah,
they died on you. So I was okay. I could hear you just fine through the through the back the regular sound. But I feel like there's only so much that someone can say about an experience when they haven't lived it, and then to watch your son go through it, and then now to have those conversations now that you're in service. Was he around while you started your SWO journey and started going on your ships?
Oh my goodness. So I spent the first 25 years of my naval service in San Diego, and that's where I grew up. So everything that we've done, whether it was returning from deployment, leaving on deployment, the Thanksgivings, the Christmases, the major milestones like promotions, my dad was always there. And you talk about bringing tears to a grown man's eyes. Anytime he stepped on board the ship and he saw how I interacted with sailors. It was a unique experience for him because he never thought he'd have a son who was a Navy captain in charge of $1 billion warship. But to see for him to see me interact with the chief's mess in the manner of which I did was mind blowing to him, because he would tell me he never would talk to the CO. He never had a relationship with the CO. Like the CO was revered in his eyes. He just remembered cooking for him and taking care of the uniforms. But then the way that he saw how I interacted with them, hugged them, just gave them dap and would motivate them and have words as always. And I would still request permission to come aboard into the chief's mess. He was like, man, if I ever had a skipper like that, I don't know what I would do with myself. I'd probably be a CMC to this day. But yeah, he was always in awe every time I took him to the ship or had some sort of function when he was a part of it.
That's so cool. That's so cool. A legacy. There really is a legacy of service that we pass. And that's why it's so important, I think, to have good leaders and to have people who have your back in the military, because you're going to get out and you're going to pass those experiences on to other people. And you want to know that you have this just library of experiences and good people. I mean, that's how I feel serving at NATO. It was transformative to be there. It was incredible. I had no idea that what that experience would entail.
And I think the words that my dad spoke just recently, because we were just talking about this generation, we were talking about my kids, my daughter who's a SWO, and he said, the difference between your Navy and my Navy is my Navy, the sailors would talk about obligations and responsibilities. Your Navy, they talk about rights and privileges. And I was like, Dad, that's huge, because that's exactly what we do, right? Yeah. That's what we're talking about. And that's why that generation was a little bit different. I don't think it's probably as bad as what my dad thinks, but we need to get back to how great our country is and how great a position that we're in, because we have an opportunity to serve our country and do something way bigger than ourselves.
Absolutely. I mean, there are so many cool jobs in the Navy that people don't know about. Like my opportunity to serve in London, your opportunity right now to work community outreach. I mean, community outreach for Navy recruiting. When I see some of your videos, I'm like, man, he's everywhere. He's just going out there and he's seeing so much of America and of different aspects of naval service. So tell us a little bit about, let's catch the audience up to where you were after some of these. You did your initial SWO tours, and then you probably did your XO tour, right, on an amphib, correct?
Yep. So I did all my Divo tours. I did my department head tours. I did my XO ride, which in the SWO community, we do an XO CO fleet up.
Yep.
So I did my XO CO fleet up, and then I had a bonus command. A CO got fired. They put me in from the bullpen. We turned that ship around, and it was just an amazing ride. Got a battle lead. We were the laughing stock of the fleet, and then we turn it around to the go-to ship in the fleet. We end up getting a battle E, and it was just kind of things that legends were made of. I had the
What was the
opportunity.
single biggest thing that turned the ship around? Like when you take a ship from low morale, low performing, and you turn it around and turn it into a well-oiled machine, what would you say were some of the main things that you guys did?
I can tell you the exact thing that I did to turn that ship around. And the one thing that I did was I got out of the way. I gave responsibility to the chief's mess, responsibility to the department heads to run the show. I empowered them to do the things that they were trained to do. I got out of the way. I gave them a rah-rah speech. I gave them vision. I gave them motivation. I got out of the way. I allowed them to be the sailors that they were trained to do. And when the chief's mess heard that, so first of all, the first organization I talked to was the chief's mess. And I told them that the CO got fired because of you. You let her down. You're not going to do that to me. So I'm going to empower all of you to be the chief, run the ship, and I guarantee you take ownership of the ship and your divisions, your departments, we are going to be freaking winners. We're going to be the sexiest ship on the waterfront, guaranteed. And then I got out of the way and I let them do their jobs. And then next thing you know, we got I took over on a Thursday. We got underway on Monday. I had no idea the type of officers I had, the type of chief's mess I had, the sailors.
Yeah.
I had no idea what I was getting myself into, but I had enough confidence in my abilities and I knew that ship very well. First thing we did when we left the channel is we did a loss of steering drill inside the channel. And we're not just talking, going through the motions, talking about it, but keeping the steering at the helm on the bridge. I actually sent it down to aft steering and, and not allow the bridge to take control.
So you had them. You had half steering doing the steering down there.
Absolutely. You took all the way back. So, and this is not a varsity level. I mean, it's not a JV level drill, right? This is something that advanced. It's like the highest kind of thing that you want to do. And we're not just talking taking it for like 30 seconds. We're talking about taking control of steering back aft for multiple turns. Or for multiple turns.
And for people who don't understand this, it's basically like in the bowels of the ship, trying to steer the ship remotely. So instead of steering the ship from the bridge, you're basically commanding for them to do it from there, which is not an easy endeavor because a lot of that I would imagine has to be just excellent communications between the bridge and between aft steering.
It's varsity level work, and you have to, your people have to be communicating, and being able to react and execute at a moment's notice. Because, we're talking seconds. If you're off course by a degree, and if you're holding a course way too long by a second, then you're going to be outside the channel because the channel is only so wide. So we did 2 consecutive turns, and we sent the steering back up to the bridge where it belonged. And they looked at themselves, and they're just like, okay, we're not a bunch of losers. We can actually do this.
Yeah,
we left the channel. We did flight ops, and then it was like they were like fantastic. Where in the past they were just like terrible. They couldn't get the flight deck certified. They couldn't get the right equipment. They couldn't do this. They couldn't do that. They were just considered a bunch of losers. But just in the first 2 evolutions of that underway, they start to get a little confidence. They started to walk around with little swag with their chest puffed out and their chins out. I'm thinking, holy smokes, we could do this. Then we did an unwrap, the 3rd event, and they freaking crushed it. And I'm telling you, just those 3 events, it changed everything about that command because now they went from a bunch of losers, riffraff that no one believed in, they couldn't execute anything, to a team that was just crazy good, and they were a bunch of winners. We came back, it was like a 3-day underway, and I had sailors coming back to me and saying, sir, do we have to go back? This was so much fun. Can we stay out here longer? And when you get sailors that are saying that, you won.
Yeah,
right?
you got it. Well, because you created a culture that people wanted to serve in. You remind me so much of Chowda Hill, the ice. He's the same way. It's like when you create a culture where people want to come to work every day and they're excited and they're like, oh yeah, let's do this. then everybody is on board. And then when you give them that confidence, and I do want to acknowledge we've been having lots of comments during the call. So I just want to say very quickly, Jonathan Kimbrough says hello. And Veronica Scott says, hoo-yah, two cool sailors live. Great to see you too.
That's
And
my
then,
girl.
yep. She's, I believe, a recruiter herself.
She
Tracy,
is.
yep. Tracy JC, hello. And
She
Captain
actually
Alota.
was like the start of all of the social media content. Like she
Oh,
was the
she is.
one that
Yes. Yeah,
started
we
it
got to give
all.
her props. She
Yeah.
Veronica has definitely done a lot in the social media space, and I've been following her quite
Yeah.
closely as well. And then Tracy JC, definitely don't want to miss you. We got hello Teresa and Captain Alota. What an amazing story of inspiration. Maria Hammond says greetings, and then Patrick McCormick says no one else out there like Gervy.
That is my CFC. Let's go.
And then Tracy, JC says, thank you for your service. Tracy and Gervy, your enthusiasm and patriotism are contagious. So, ooh, yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
So, after your XO tour, you fleet up to being the CO of the ship. And then that's when we talked towards the end. So tell me, you were going to go to like a missile range facility or something like that?
Yeah. So I'm sorry. So I did the conflict. That was the fleet up. Then I did the Harper's Ferry. That was when the seal got fired. And then for my major command, I didn't have to do an XO ride. I went straight to the seat. Yeah. And then so that was my major command. And that was the Mertha. That's when we started. I took over in 2020 when we had crazy COVID, the racial political unrest that we experienced. We're in the yards. I mean, it was just a mess. So leading in that time, during that time, was probably the hardest but most satisfying time as a leader that I've had on the ship or just at any command period. Then I left there. And then I went to the Missile Warning Center, and that was
Warning Center. Okay.
Yeah, in Colorado Springs. That was my joint job, and what was unique about that was it was command, but it was very small. It was a group of about 50 people and all services: Space Force, Air Force, Marines, Army, Navy, and we just provided missile warning throughout the entire world. And you think about when I left, that's when Russia Ukraine kicked off. That's when the Red Sea kicked off. So you imagine our small cadre of people providing missile warning from the entire world, and ensuring that all the headquarters, the decision makers, were informed about all of the stuff that was happening. We were smoked. We were, we worked. It was shift work, right? But I mean, we are talking a large number of events in a watch. So I got to be careful how I say it, but there's a lot of events that happened through a course of a watch, and with every event, there's reports, there's things that we have to do to ensure that the higher ups are notified. So it was a lot of work. It was very challenging, and big props to the people that worked that, because it was tireless. It was shift work. And I didn't have an opportunity to showcase that much because I couldn't bring my cell phone into the mountain. And that was a shame, because the mountain experience was phenomenal. You have to go through the turnstile. You have to go, do all of your biometrics. You got to take a bus, a mile into the mountain. And then there's more security to get into, our actual watch floor. So you think about, the experience that I've had from going to a ship to now being under a mountain in this operational center, and the amount of goodness that we provided to the to national and world leaders, it's just a dream come true for me. So that was a 2-year tour. Colorado Springs was beautiful. My wife and I just enjoyed the mountains. We did a 14er. It was just an amazing experience. And then I had an opportunity. I interviewed for a job. It was like my dream job, the one thing that I wanted out of life. And, it's been on my, my fit rep since 2013, the job that I've really wanted. I didn't get it. It was kind of like one of the, the first, kind of experiences and failure in my career, but it all happens for a reason, because it landed me the job of what I'm doing today. Swole Boss basically said, all right, hey, I know you didn't get this dream job. We all thought you were going to get it, but it's now going to give us an opportunity to fix something that's broken. and that was Navy recruiting. And to be honest with you, like it's not anything that I did to fix it. It was the leadership that was in place that put in new new priorities, new policies, and got rid of a lot of barriers so that our recruiters can win. Um, that team kind of set the tone for the rest of the year when it comes to Navy recruiting. But they gave me a shot. They gave me an opportunity to use the influence that I've had, that I've leveraged, that I've worked on, to tell a bigger story. So now it's not just about the crew, not just for the families of the crew, not just for the surface warfare Navy, but now it's for Navy writ large to, just build awareness, tell your story, bring it with energy and hype so that it gets everyone else excited about what the Navy has to offer. And that's like, I'm responsible at Navy recruiting for the upper funnel, right? I bring all the cool stories, cool toys, cool conventions to the recruiter, get them excited, about the Navy, and then let the recruiters kind of seal the deal. So I have the greatest job in the world because I get to tell my story. And then I have the opportunity to kind of see them from the start when they don't know anything about the Navy to now they're wearing a uniform. And it's just an amazing opportunity.
That's so cool. I mean, did you ever think that like what you were building on social media would actually intersect with your profession? Like, or did you always think like, this is what I'm doing to expand and to enhance my profession, but I didn't, but because you don't know if you're just telling your story, you're telling well, really not your story, but the stories of your sailors and the teams that you're serving on.
Yeah.
Did you ever think like it would lead to this?
Absolutely not. Right. Like I remember last time we talked, the reason why I started it was because I wasn't able to talk to sailors directly. Like I was a huddle up, rah, rah. The sailors were so close to me that I'm spitting in their face as I'm hyped and energetic and passionate about telling the story and like giving them the vision. But I couldn't do that. I'm masked. We're 6 feet apart. So I'm just like, how do we do this? And then they're like, social media. And I was like, I wasn't a fan at the time. And then just starting it and then just seeing the goodness of what it does. And then when I left the John P. Murtha, and just
because I remember you saying you weren't sure you're going to keep it.
Yeah,
I remember we had this
conversation
like it.
But then if it was only like just the friends, the family, the crew members, even just the SWOs that were following, then that's an easy call. Like I'm no longer going to be doing this. But then I think when I left, I had like 70,000, but most of them were, just people that were interested about the Navy because they were still like in high school. I was kind of looking at demographics, and it kind of led me to come to a conclusion that it's bigger than just the John P. Murtha. It's bigger than just the surface warfare community. I have people, that are interested in the Navy. I have people that, are veterans that are wanting to know what the Navy's doing next. That, it just had a larger reach. Now I'm thinking like it is time consuming, but it's easy for me because all it is just real authentic videos, real authentic just thoughts, and spinning it in a positive way. And the more I looked at social media and like kind of the influencers out there, they're not very positive. Like the things that are hitting and clicking are the ones that are like shining a negative light, that are making fun of our service. So they're not doing the things that that we need. We need to get out in front telling the positive story, and there was nobody doing that.
No, and I'm on your page now, and you can see like everything that you do is some sort of a story where you're sharing what somebody's doing. I just happened to click on the guy there with, I don't know if you can see that with the gold teeth.
Paul Wall.
That's awesome. I don't know. I was just kind of clicking, but I mean, these videos are just great. I mean, they tell a story. They explain something. Here you're explaining about this box here or something. You're probably going to go into some more detail on there.
It's our classified combat boot.
Oh, I love it.
So yeah, we were at SneakerCon, and that's what's wild about this job. Like I'm introduced to all these people at different conventions, whether it's STEM, whether it's Comic-Con, whether it's MegaCon, SneakerCon, FitCon, Arnold Classic, because I mean, our primary job is to build Navy awareness, and our target audience is all over the place, right? And the Navy offers so many different opportunities, whether it's the kinetic action that you seek, whether it's the cerebral challenges, whatever it is, I guarantee you the Navy has something that we can offer you. So that's why we go and inject ourselves in all these different spaces to get our word out. And oh, by the way, I get opportunities to meet the Paul Walls, the Arnold Arnold Schwarzenegger. I get to go to Samoa. I get to, meet ROTC students. I get to go talk to middle schoolers and bring the Navy robot dog, in front of them. It's like the best thing ever, for me and my platform, because it's just like right up my alley.
Right. And you're telling the story in such an authentic way, and using social media in a way, like you said, for positive and for good. Like, you can't help but, like, when I go on your page, I just can't help but break a smile and, like, read about something that reminds me, either it's, sailors being sailors and just doing something fun, or you're teaching something, or you're showing somebody something that they don't know about the Navy. And have you felt, since the last time we talked, because I remember I was like, what's been the reception of, like, your leadership? Have you found over the years that there's more people that warm up to it, or sometimes people warm up to it, and then sometimes there's going to be people that you're just never going to be able to get on board with it? Or how's that been? I know it's such a generational thing.
It is a generational thing, and I think the people that have the hardest time with it are the gray beards, are the vets. They always talk about, in my day, we would never have an 06 doing that, and I'm just like, this guy's the same age as me, and or younger than me, right? Like, he joined in 2005. He's been in 5 years. He got out. He was saying, like, and when I was in the Navy, I was like, buddy, I was in the Navy the same time you were in. I chose to stay in, right? And then I get a lot of those, but people don't understand that I don't do my social media for the the veterans per se now. I don't even do it for, like, senior leadership, because I'm not trying to get your attention. Right. Once I'm trying to get their attention are the young folks that may have an interest in joining the Navy. Right. So you may laugh at my stuff. You may shake your head, all that SMH, shake my head. Yeah. SMH stuff. And you may say, like, cringe, all that stuff, but I'm not going after you. And I can care less what you think. I'm going after that young high schooler or that young college student who may think about joining the Navy, and they have questions like, yeah, but can I be me when I join the Navy? I get it. Like, there's STEM opportunities. I can do this or I can do that. I get it, but can I be me? Can I be authentic? And if I can kind of give them that small glimmer of hope, yeah, look at me. I'm in 06 and I'm still,
having fun,
youthful and graceful and having fun, but I'm still,
serious,
mission oriented,
and a warfighter.
I still get tasks done. I'm a winner. We could do that. And if they feel like, okay, I can relate, how about I give it a shot? Then I've won, right?
You're right.
Like, I'm not there for my personal gain. I don't care about my followership. I don't care what veterans have to say. I do. Like, I want them to know that they're in good hands, that they've left a legacy, and we appreciate their service because they paved the way, and I am fully in support. But when they knock what the Navy's doing now, that we're not as lethal, like, I have to fight back, because we are the most lethal Navy in the world, and we are more lethal than we have ever been. And people just don't understand that. And I want people to understand that we are lethal, but you know what? We can still be human beings.
Yeah.
Sailors are sailors, and they need to feel loved and appreciated.
Right. And that's the whole picture. I mean, I didn't stay in this business for 29 years because I hated it. I stayed in because I loved the opportunities that they continue to give me. I was constantly challenged. I was constantly being given something new to strive for. And I was always having fun, and I was always looking forward to, where am I going next? Where's my next trip? What is the next team I'm going to serve on? And there isn't very many jobs that you're ever going to have where you constantly are just getting this variety of different assignments and different kinds of people. I mean, you're going to work with people in the Navy from every walk of life, every political affiliation, every culture, I mean, you're going to get it all. And where else are you going to get exposed to that? And that exposure, it just opens up your eyes.
Yeah, and I think, that's all a part of leadership. Wherever you're at on the totem pole, wherever you are in your career, leadership is about connecting, right? And if you're able to connect and communicate with your people, whether it's below you, above you, across from you, then your job as a leader is going to be easier, right? If you can convince people to do certain tasks because they want to, not because they have to, that's winning. And that's leadership done the right way. And when people feel like they want to go run through a wall just for you, I guarantee you, if you have a ship full of sailors, a command, whether it's shore, whether it's at sea, that are willing to fight and just go above and beyond just for that leader, that whole entire command is not going to lose, guaranteed.
I agree. Because people do things for their leaders, even if they don't want to do the job. So if the job itself is just thankless or it's just menial or they don't want to do it, they don't care. At least that's the way I was. I don't care. I'll do anything. If it's on a team that is cohesive and we're all kind of rowing in the same line and I've got a cheerleader for a boss and everybody is, I mean, that's how it was at Carrier Striker 15. In fact, I'm having the intel officer, Jason English, on later on this month. And he was instrumental in helping me take on Off-Task VI, which I know you're very familiar with that program.
Is that with Admiral Byrne?
I was with I was stationed with Admiral Byrne on Striker 15. He was my boss, and Jason English was the intel guy. And that was when Intel was like, no, this is not our mission. And I can't wait to tell that story on the podcast because he had to really bring me in and convince me that, yes, this is a public affairs mission. And then nobody wanted to take it. CNSP pushed back, CNAP pushed back. Everybody on the West Coast pushed back and said, no, this is not PAO. This is Intel. And we're just like, no, we're not taking pictures of antennas and other things. We are trying to see a moment where a ship or another vessel or an aircraft is coming dangerously close to our ship and shouldn't be there. And how are we going to capture it and make sure that our story is the right story and the true story of what really happened? So it was a public affairs mission, but I spent that whole 2 years, I mean, I'd say first maybe year and a half, just trying to get our community on board. And then we had to create a training video and it was just this whole thing. But it was such a good story of teamwork because everybody was on board and nobody made me feel like I was just going to have it and be all by myself and have to create the whole training program. And no, Jason was like, okay, I've got this part. Okay, I'll talk to these people. I mean, it was just such a team effort on how we did that. And that's what a good team does.
And look at the legacy you guys left behind, because if you guys are doing, the Viper stuff, at Strike Group 15, it's really expanded out to the rest of the fleet. I think, if anything, like, I just want to curse you for all that because now I got
it's a huge pain in the ass. I know.
I had no PA support on my small boy. So it was really just a bunch of OSs and yeomen and, just, pickup
trying to use camera gear.
VI. Yeah.
and that's the thing. I mean, it's so interesting because Admiral Welsh was the one star that took over after Admiral Byrne. And I remember, like, he's the one who actually put together and scripted out the training video that I want to say still gets used today. And I remember we were all on the bridge and he's like, this is so simple, like capturing it, but so hard. I mean, because really that's all you're doing is you're seeing another vessel come up behind your vessel and all you're trying to do is get a shot that it's, constant bearing, decreasing range. That's it. But it's so hard because if people know how to use a camera, they don't understand how to zoom in on a flag or whatever. So it was just such a great experience. And I knew I wanted to have this conversation because I feel like when I talk to somebody like you or Riley, the bobsledder Marine, she's amazing. Children's book right now. Chowda is another one, or anybody like that. And you guys are just so go Navy. And sometimes I'm not, I'm not always just go Navy. And it's good.
Hey, but the love for Navy is real, right?
I know.
And I think it starts because of my dad, obviously, and the opportunity that the Navy gave my dad, and then just how it transformed me, and just as a person, and how I've been able to capture all of my life experiences, whether it was football, whether it was wrestling, whether it was through, my, Catholic upbringing, you name it. Everything that I've done in my life prepared me to the leadership challenges I've had on the ship. And then now at the house, I got leadership challenges with my kids and trying to, kind of figure them out and what they're going to be doing with the rest of their lives and navigating, their careers, in the water in the open ocean. So
And
it's
they're in the
just like an
military as well.
amazing how and my wife, it's just amazing what the Navy's provided for me and the opportunities that I've had to just influence so many different types of people because of the Navy. That's why I just love it, just with all of my heart and all my soul. It's not a fake thing. People always just say, there's no way a SWO can be that happy. Yes, a SWO could be this happy. I'm
Yes,
living
they
proof
can.
because I absolutely
Admiral
love it.
Brad Cooper is the same way. So I know, I know a SWO can be this happy.
Yeah. Best job
I'm-
in the world.
Yeah, I was on his ship, his destroyer, and then Joe Cahill was his XO, and yeah, it was the happiest DDG on the waterfront in
And they're
Hawaii.
war fighters, right? Like
They
they're
are.
lethal war fighters,
They
but
are.
they understood that it's about the sailors. They
Yeah.
understood that they can have it both. They can be freaking lethal war
Mhm.
fighting machines while still having smiles on the sailors' faces.
Yeah, somebody asked me. I mean, somebody didn't ask me. I was thinking about it the other day. Like, what command did I think I had the best command climate? And I'll have to say, yeah, USS Russell with Admiral Brad Cooper. Well, now Admiral, but back then I think Commander Brad Cooper and Joe Cahill. It was
Like
they
it
were
makes
amazing.
you wonder, right? Like you talk about command cultures. Do you think like a ship that would be like consistently operational, could it have the same sort of culture as a ship like that's never out at sea? Right? If you're doing it right, it's the ship that's always out at sea doing things that should have
Yeah,
the best command,
they
climate or
should.
culture. But it's all leadership, and it doesn't. I guess my point is, it doesn't really matter if you're out at sea or in port. It's about leadership and making sure that the people are valued in order to establish the right sort of culture. But in my perspective, like if you're always out at sea, regardless of what's going on, and you make the kids, the sailors, feel purposeful and valued, and that they're doing something bigger than themselves, I guarantee you, the culture itself can be amazing.
Right. And I do think that, sailors want to deploy. I mean, people want to be at sea. They want to do their jobs, and they want their jobs to be something that matters and that's meaningful. So
Yeah.
it is a challenge. It is a challenge when a ship is in the yard, to keep people feeling purposeful. I do remember my XO on Nimitz, Dave Kurtz. He set up a really robust community relations program. So where everybody had just so many different nonprofits that we partnered with and that we were able to go out and do things with, because we didn't want people to just default to just going out and drinking. And I think that if you can do your best to curb the drinking culture, one of the things that I'm seeing, and as I'm getting older, is there is a movement, like an alcohol-free movement. And I mean, of course, I've been sober for a year. I don't drink any alcohol now. And I love it. I mean, I'm not saying there's anything bad with it. I don't judge people who do it, but I do think that also contributes sometimes, I think, to this the stereotype, or like you say, people just kind of get stuck in a rut, is because they get so, especially when you're young, I know I did, you just get so down that path of the drinking and the partying culture, and that you miss out on all these other things that you could be doing.
I think I handled that a little bit differently, right? Because every time we hit a port, I would always have an all hands call, and I would always say the same things, right? I want you guys to go out and have fun, celebrate. You guys have earned it, but make sure that you don't defame our ship, right? Don't discredit our ship, and everyone else, hold each other accountable. So I wanted them to celebrate, because our thing was, work like a sailor, win like a champion, party like a pirate. I wanted them to celebrate because it was like a long underway, and we did amazing things. Now it's your time. You join the Navy for the adventure, to go see the world. I want you guys to see the world. And if that means drinking, that's fine. But then have a plan, be responsible, and don't bring discredit on our ship. We've done way too many great things.
Yeah.
If you're bringing discredit onto the ship, you're going to see me and your whites, in a way that you've never seen me before. So I promise you, don't let that happen. And they kind of like responded. They were responsible. They partied. They drank. But they did it responsibly. They had a plan, and people like looked after themselves. We had maybe
That's
one
great.
or two through a course of an entire deployment. But I mean, that's just sailors being sailors. But I wanted them to celebrate, and I wanted them to have a good time because they deserved it. But I really just put the onus on their Liberty Buddy to make sure that they are being accountable for their actions. And if you were the person that was supposed to be sober, just take care of that sailor. Let him have a good time. Let him enjoy himself so that he will have a positive sea story. But bring him back to the ship in one piece.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that, like you said, it all comes down to this culture thing that you and I just keep going back to. And if
Yeah.
you have positive command culture and good climate, people don't want to let each other down, and they don't want to let the team down, and they don't want to do something that's going to sabotage the relations within that culture, within that nation. I mean, because you really are. I mean, when you go out into a foreign port, people don't see Teresa Carpenter. They don't see Gervy Alota. They see a sailor.
Yeah.
They do. They see a United States Navy sailor. And that's something that I think all of us ought to take very seriously. And they see us as an American.
Yeah.
And so we're not only representing the Navy, we're representing America every time they see us. And I think that extra responsibility, I think, it stays with you when you go overseas.
Absolutely. And also, I mean, I think they just, they wanted to be a part of something special. They knew that if, and one of the things I've always talked to them about was trust, right? If you do right, I can trust you. But if you don't do right, if you choose to do wrong and you can no longer be trusted, then you have no place on the ship. I mean, I can't put you on watch if you can't be trusted. So we were just doing so many amazing things that they wanted to be a part of this team. They wanted to be a part of this team that was doing amazing, special things, that they thought twice about, just breaking the trust of their senior leadership.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
So what is next? So tell me a little bit about like how much longer do you have where you are now, and then where do you see all this going from this point forward?
Great question. I haven't really thought about it. I didn't think I was going to be here very long, but because I didn't get that job, I've been told by senior leaders that I'm going to continue to do this until I choose to leave out the Navy, or if something better comes along. But I really love this job. I really love the opportunities that I have to make a difference. And that's what my life has been about, right? That's the purpose that I feel like, the reason why I've been created was to tell my authentic side of my experiences through the Navy. So I get a chance to do that. And I think I'm just going to ride this out until the very end.
I love it. I mean, I really do believe God has a plan, and your plan is to continue to stay on active duty and to serve for as long as your journey takes you. I mean, that's how I always looked at it too.
Yeah, I can tell you, and I think we're in the same boat. I'm reading the book 4,000 Weeks, and I know that of those 4,000 weeks left that I have to live, I got probably about 1,500 left. And so I want to make sure I utilize those 1,500 weeks right. Like I want to work on my relationships. I want to personally grow, which to me, it's spiritually, it's emotionally. I think I've grown. I peaked out at my physical, growth. Probably my professional growth. I've kind of peaked out. So I really want to work on the things with the time that I have left in my life to be spiritually and emotionally strong. And then kind of last thing is I just want to do stuff that's of value, that brings me joy. I don't want to waste the remaining weeks that I have to live on something that is for myself, right? Like I want to do something bigger than myself for a larger audience. So I don't want to waste any more time that I have left on this earth. I want to prioritize the things that I want to give my life to and my time to. My time is my life, and the things that I choose to give my time to is my life. So I want to make sure I'm very intentional about that.
I feel the same way. I mean, I haven't lined a job up for a reason. And I mean, I'm looking at graduate programs right now, but they're more service oriented graduate programs. That's all I'll say for now. But I'm looking at, I have I mean, maybe doing more writing. I mean, it's been wonderful to be able to kind of deepen into some of the storytelling that I haven't been able to do as much before, which I'd love. I'd love to
You're
be
an
able to.
awesome storyteller, by the way. So you're doing that.
Oh, thank you. I always think like there's such a fun art to how you set up a story, and a story doesn't have to be something grand. It doesn't have to be big. Like I made a story the other day about my husband cutting my hair, but there was such a deeper subtext to it as you read down the story. And that's the thing. Like, and I got that from Scott Mann. I was reading Scott Mann's book, Nobody's Coming to Save You. And he talks about like all the different elements of a story. So I could definitely see myself, especially those who want to tell their story or their experiences serving the good, the bad, all of it. There needs to be more people that I think are in a position like me who know how to kind of put together some of these stories that can use this to teach others. So I could see that happening. Did I lose you? I think I left. I think his camera might have gone out. So you're still there. There you are. Because we do, I don't know if you can hear me, but we had one more. Okay, can you hear me? Oh, you're muted. You're muted.
Okay.
Oh,
so
now
this
I can hear
happened
you.
last time. Like at the end of the wrap up, like I lost connection. So I was like, no, it's gonna be happening again.
No, not again. That's right. We did. I think you cut out at the very end, and then I just took it. That's right.
I am so sorry. I don't know what just happened.
Don't worry about it. I did have somebody who asked some stuff about top secret clearances, and I'll get back to you. I don't know if Gervy's the right guy to answer those questions. So I will get back to you, Catherine, on those. But I will say before you go, Gervy, not Nervy, where'd you get that awesome hat?
Oh, this is me. I'm a dad, a husband, and a man of God. So I don't know where I got it. I think I got it online. But when I saw it, I was just thinking, I love hats. I love expressing myself in authentic ways. And I think, what better way to describe who I am than, a hat that has my 3 top priorities. I'm a God-fearing man. I'm a husband to a beautiful wife. And, I have 2 amazing and, just beautiful kids.
I love it.
So this tells the story.
Yeah, it does. It does. And those are beautiful ways to share your story.
Can you understand? You understand
don't donkey it. I don't. I'm not good with jokes. All right.
Don't half-ass it.
I love it. I love it. Well, I know my husband has a t-shirt because he's always working and stuff. And he has a t-shirt that's like "Do the job right" or something like that.
Yeah.
And I think it like motivates him to like go out when he does all his home projects. Cause
you got to be all in. You got
to be all in. You got to do it. But oh my gosh, this has been just like the last conversation, an amazing conversation. I want to thank you so much. I know people can find you on the show notes, on your Instagram. We're going to continue to follow your journey, and we're absolutely just I'm so happy for you, and I'm so glad that we've continued to keep in touch, and you're continuing to do what you're doing. So thank you very much. And with that, I'm going to go full screen, but I would like to just meet you backstage very quick. Oh, go ahead.
Well, can I just say one thing too before you sign off? Thank you, Teresa. I know that you don't have very many months left in the Navy, but if I don't get an opportunity to thank you, especially live on your podcast, thank you for your 29, I believe it's 29 years of service.
It is.
You did an amazing job just kind of navigating through your entire career. It's been tumultuous, to say the least. I know that you've had, but it's been beautiful as well, right?
Yeah, it has.
The way that you've handled yourself through your entire journey says a lot about who you are, the type of leader that you are, what you value, what you prioritize. And I just can't say enough about who you are as a person. We've never met personally. We've had conversations and we've DM'd each other.
Followed each other's content too for the last 2 years.
But I think that you're an amazing person, and I want to be able to thank you from the bottom of my heart for what you mean to me and my family, because my wife follows you as well. So you do so much good to the community, for the Navy. And if I didn't have the opportunity to thank you, I would have, I would have been hard on myself. So thank you for what you've done for the Navy. We are certainly going to miss you, but I know you're going to do amazing things on the other side.
Well, thank you. That means a lot to me. I hope that I'm showing people that it's both. The military experience is like the human experience. There's the good, there's the bad. I'm going to be spicy sometimes. I'm going to be go Navy sometimes. I mean, that's life. So
That's right.
hopefully I've done my best to try to show that. So that means a lot to me that you say that. And yeah, I'm so glad we had this conversation. I wanted to have this kind of like go Navy kind of conversation. So this is good stuff. Good stuff. All right. I'm going to go full screen. I want to thank all of you for joining me tonight. I'm going to be taking a couple weeks off. I'm actually going on a trip and going on an Alaskan cruise. So I will be off the podcast, but I'll be playing some of our reels. I'm actually like 2 weeks behind on the reels and the blogs. As you guys know, I always play all the greatest hits afterwards. So you guys will all get that. And as I always say to close out these calls, I hope you all take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and enjoy the rest of your evening. Bye-bye now.